Today we're going to be making earrings that go along with this bracelet. And you can see here, actually at the time of recording, I just finished having a really fun live stream with y'all, and we did this earring design, and it was requested, and I agree that we should do a tutorial on it. So that explains the anyways. And so you can see here, this is where I had sketched out the bracelet, and if future Vaughn remembers to, there will be links or something somewhere where you can see step by step how we made this bracelet. But today we're just going to be making the earring, and I kind of sketched out an alternate. But the techniques that we'll be covering here, you'll be able to use hopefully for a bunch of different things. For our core, I'm using two 5-inch lengths of 16 gauge parawire. Again, you can use whatever color you like, but I wanted this to be really like steampunky. So, and I'm going to pull off just 1 arm's length, so about 5 feet of wire of our 28 gauge. I really recommend this project for if you are a beginner wire wrapper, because it's a pretty cool, like, I think it looks neat. Like, it really does. Like, you can practice making some spirals and stuff first, but for as much as is going on here, it's really only one weave and then doing some coils. But what's fun is being able to incorporate the little bead, which you could use a round bead, you could use whatever you like. So I'm going to find the center of our wrapping wire. As far as tools go, basic menagerie of round and mandrel pliers, bent nose, stepped flat nose that I got from Rio Grande, snips, and nylon jaw. These are basically, this is my go-to group of pliers that I use for just about everything. And so, tidying up the workspace just a little bit. We're going to start by finding the center and then going off to the side just a bit of it. Let's see if we can't zoom in for you so you can get a better idea of what we're looking at. And I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rotations. And I know that that actually comes up to 6, but I think that'll be okay. And then we'll add in our second wire. And now I'm going to 1, 2. And I actually prefer weaving from this angle. I don't know why, that's just how I am. It's the wire that I'm doing the coils on I like to have closer to me. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can take this design and add infinite variations with having multiple wires or anything, but I thought this would be a good starting point. It looks like we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 repetitions of this weave. So I'm going to make so that we have this little notch here, 8 of those. 1, 2. And we're going to do this real time together. Just because I've said it before, but it's worth saying again, my heart is always, always with the beginners. And sometimes, you know, stuff that seems obvious to somebody who's been making jewelry for just ages is really, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of that. You know, even now after making jewelry for over a decade professionally, there's still a lot of stuff that it's like, wow, I never would have thought to have done, you know, this thing like that. And it's like it might be like a foundational technique or something, so there's no telling what we might be able to learn. So I'm just trying to keep the wires nice and parallel to each other. The heavier gauge makes that a lot easier, because you could do this out of like a 20 or an 18 gauge core wire, but I've found, especially whenever I first started wire wrapping, I had a little bit of a death grip on everything, like trying to like force the wire into behaving, and that would just leave like warped wires. But with a 16 gauge, even with a very firm grip, it's holding up nicely. I know I just counted with you guys, but I forgot how many. Was it 6? No, it was 8. Excuse me. So we're just gonna keep, I wrap around, and then I use my fingernail to just kind of push it down. You could use the side of your finger or pliers, just you find the way that works best for you in doing this. but my goal here is to keep everything nice and tight and tidy. Smoosh. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. And then I want to finish it on 5 coils. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we've already made the first one previously in the live stream, the first of the 2 earrings. So my goal here now is to have that be mirror imaged. So that's just something to be mindful of. Though you could just as easily, instead of attaching an ear hook to it, attach like a decorative bail or something and just have it be a fun little pendant. So I'm going to have this come around. I'm just shaping with my fingers, though you could use a mandrel or a knitting needle or anything like that. And this is a bead that I'd gotten from Michael's, but again, it's about 10 millimeters in diameter. But you could use any size bead, just adjust accordingly. And I want to bend it around a little bit further than what I think I need to. Cool. And now I'm going to take our wires here. I'm going to thread through the bead on one side, pulling all the way through. And then I'm going to take the other end of our wire and feed all the way through. And I want them both to kind of exit our wrapping on the same side, if that makes sense. Like how this one is on the back side between the piece and the table. So I want this one right there to exit on the back side as well. There we go. And so now, let's see, how many did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 repetitions. Moving that wire up out of the way. Then we have 1, 2. And right here, this is the tricky part, where you want everything quite nice and snug. But again, with the mirror image, since it's a flat bead, I need to do something to stabilize it, because otherwise, if it were the same on both sides, I wouldn't mind a bit leaving it spinning. But since it has kind of a right and wrong side, I want to keep that facing forward. So I'm actually going to split this just a bit. Hook that there and thread through. And if this isn't an option for you, you could just thread a wire like across the back on both sides. Like, you're gonna have to get a little tricky with it, but you can do it. You've got this. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, I just like working from the back side. 1 and 2. There's just going to keep repeating this weave. 3, 4, and 5. And so hopefully we'll be able to keep that looking nice and even, because my goal with this is to make it look almost like a mystery, like, oh, how did that bead get in there? I don't know. Like, or something. Just, you know, why not? So this is our 3rd repetition, and again, get those wires nice and tight to each other. I'd almost rather them be splayed this way, that way it's a little easier to weave them or weave around them, but that way they're still close to each other on this axis. 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many we're gonna do? Well, that was 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 more on this side. 1, 2. And again, things can get a little crossed and odd, but that's okay. There we go. 1, 2. Excellent. So now that we've gotten this far, I'm going to go ahead and Normally, whenever I'm making a pair of earrings at the same time, I would have gotten to this point on both sides, on both pairs of earrings, and then moved forward. But I had completed this one just for the sake of the live stream. And so now for this one, I'm just going to coil a finger width. Just because I always have my hands on me, so that's what I use as a ruler. You can be however meticulous or messy like me as you like. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I think it's going to be like 40 or 50 coils though. 10. You can, if it's a little faster for you, go like that, but I don't get as tight of results whenever I do a loose coil and then smush it down. So I just tighten that down a bit, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm actually running out of wire, so that's no good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going till I've used up that last bit of wire. There we go. Smush that and give that a tuck with our bent nose pliers. There we go. Cool. Okay. So now we do that same thing on the other side. So let's hook 1, 2, and nice and tight and snug and everything. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there's 1, so that's 6 more for us. 1, 2, 4, 5. Smoosh. And the key to getting nice tight wrapping and weaving is to just keep an eye on every single stitch. You know, it can be exhausting at first if you're very new to this, to be paying such close attention to every little, because I mean we are moving in like fractions of a millimeter here, but it adds up, and the attention and detail that you pay now will show in your final piece, and you're just building good habits for your wire wrapping later on. So it's as a musician, it's I practice as I'll perform. So it's like, even if you're on a practice piece of wire wrapping, practice like how you'd perform it. 2, 3, 4. Well, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try new things that maybe are not as tidy and perfect as what you'd like, but you know, why not always give it your best? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 more. We're getting there. There's 6 and 7. And now what I like to do is I'm actually going to bend that out of the way, and bend these out of the way just a little bit more. And I'm just cinching down a little bit. We're up to 15, 20. But yeah, getting the other wires out of the way just really helps. So it's 20, so it's 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Smush. There we go. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. Let's see, is that about... Yeah, it's about right. Do 3 more just for good measure. I don't know. I'm just making it up now. Okay, snip that off. Smush that down. Nice and handy. Okay, so now get those wires lined up next to each other. And we start bending very gradually, keeping attention on that wire, bending around this way. And again, it can help if you're the type to like to have a pattern to follow, to have it drawn out, or if you've made one pair already, you can place one on top of the other and make sure that you're following roughly the same shape. And so now from here, if I recall, I used a fingertip length from my wrinkles to, like from my knuckle bend to the tip. And snip, and again here, and snip. And that way our spirals will come out the same size. And I'm gonna grab, oops, sorry for the loud plier clacking, round nose pliers as close to the tip of the wire and as close to the tip of the pliers as I can. Just come around and bring that in like that. And I really recommend get you some practice in. If you have any scrap wire or if you're new to this, practice your spirals. There's only good things will come of it. Generally. You know, quick disclaimer, if something terrible happens, not my fault. So there we go. And now for on these sides, I'm going to snip just about 4 or 5 millimeters past where the coiling stops. Snip, snip. And I'm going to grip. And, oop. You don't want to get too close to the end because your pliers will slip off, and you don't want to give it a death grip because that can kind of abuse the wire. Now here I have some nylon jaw pliers, and they are just great for getting a good grip and then work hardening even. Smoosh. It doesn't seem like it would do much, but just that smush with the nylon jaw pliers does so much. You can also gently hammer with like a nylon head hammer, but that can have a little bit more of a flattening effect than what I personally am going for. But again, no sense in, you know, experiment, no sense in not. There we go. Okay, so now we have, oh, they're going the same way. And now we have some earrings, kind of. Now the structure on our earrings, I actually went ahead and made both of them in the live stream. I did go through and you can see kind of the hammering effect. I used a 20 gauge vintage bronze parawire for this, and I just did a wrapped loop and then hammered it a bit to stiffen that up so it would hold its shape. But I like leaving the backs long, just because it didn't poke me in the neck the way that some of the fishhook earrings do. But I'm going to snip them to be the same length. And now what I'm going to do, since we have just a little bit of pokiness there, is I'm going to use a file. And you could use a cup burr or any number of things. A nail file works fantastically, like a little metal one. Some sandpaper, doesn't matter. I'm just smoothing off those sharp edges. Now, Parawire has a wonderfully durable enamel on their enameled wires, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're using like copper or something, I really like dipping Mod Podge sealers. You can take this and you could just dip it into like I have this one on hand, but they have some like hard like outdoor weather, like outdoor durable seals, and I like using that for stuff that's going to be getting a lot of wear and tear. But so that's going. Now I'm going to use our mandrel here with the, looks like 3 or 4 millimeter, and I am just going to grab it close to the tip and make a jump ring. So I'm going to use my flush cutters to come in and just snip, and then I'm going to flip it and make sure that I'm cutting in line with our other cut, also with the flat side. And now we have a nice little, what I would call machine cut, as opposed to saw cut jump ring. You could definitely make a bunch of these and saw cut them to your heart's content. I'm not about that life right now, so just one will do. And that way, you can see that has a pretty nice It's not perfect, it's not soldered, but pretty nice. Little closure, and there we have some earrings. Now, by the time this video is posted, these will have long found their new home, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I actually made these to be given away in my Thursday live stream. I do weekly giveaways to all my viewers, so if you're interested in that, please be sure to check out my live streams. Just, I love getting to hang out with you guys, and it's a really great community over there. Like, y'all make it wonderful. I'm just kind of bumbling around, bumping into stuff. Y'all make it great. So thank you guys for that. If you enjoy my free tutorials and you would like to support the creation of more of them, please consider joining us over on Patreon for our Craft Along Club. We send out monthly kits as well as all sorts of behind the scenes content and all of the digital download stuff, all sorts of stuff. But I also think that I'm going to put together a kit for these earrings. So maybe check out my Etsy for that. I don't know. Future Vaughn can be horribly incompetent sometimes, so hopefully she has her act together and her ducks in a row and gets that posted up. But if not, there are links to all the different tools and materials down in the video description below where you could purchase or, you know, get you started shopping for your own. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye.